Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Life, Liberty, Happiness. We are live in the David Honaker State Farm Studios. In the studio joining me, Mr. Trent Warner.
Howdy.
And guess who's back, Trent?
Thank God.
Emma. Emma's back.
I mean, we loved Woody. In fact, we missed Woody when he first left, but we've gotten so much better.
Not anymore.
Then we didn't like him.
Was it love to see him, but love to see him go?
Yeah. It's nice to say hi, better to say bye.
Yeah.
He should just be a guest.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his company, but
Put him on the Mount Rushmore producers.
Meh.
retire. Meh.
We got two on there.
Oh, anyway, it's great to be back in the studio. Had a wonderful week. Emma, I know you were out last week vacationing, right?
Yep.
Where'd you go?
Outer Banks and then North Myrtle.
Ooh.
2 places in 1 week? That's all.
Yeah, I left like last Thursday. And then I stayed at Outer Banks with my boyfriend's family until Saturday.
So which do you prefer? Outer Banks or North?
I would say North Myrtle. I've been going there for a long time.
Me.
Me.
So.
So.
You like?
We stay at Cherry Grove Pier.
See, I like the Cherry Grove area.
Okay.
And that's where we went shark fishing.
Yeah.
Used to go out that way. Yeah.
Yep.
Me.
Well, it's good to have you back, Emma.
Thanks.
Hopefully you caught the episode.
I did.
It was-
the full 9-hour long one.
It was a little
It
long.
literally kept me awake all the way home
There you go.
because I barely could keep my eyes open.
Well,
So when I was younger, I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh. When we would go on trips, I had to listen to him. He was great. Or Don Imus.
loved it.
Those were those when I was your age. That's what I'd listen to when I hit the road.
Do you ever wonder, because you and I both grew up listening to Don Imus and loved the show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever wonder what he was like prior to the show? Like, he was a disc jockey for
Yeah,
years, and he talked about being high on coke the whole time and
yeah.
partying. But then when we knew him, it was just, he was totally different.
He did a show quite kind of like ours.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. He was wild.
Yeah, he was crazy. But anyway,
That's good stuff.
a little later on the program, we'll be joined by Marine Corps veteran Gregory Meacham. Can't wait to get to that segment here shortly on our American Hero Stories. But before we get to that, let's go to backwards and forwards. Trent, I had a relaxing forward.
Yeah.
For the first time, we didn't really do anything other than, really, it was me and my wife.
Well, first off, you can't go camping yet, right? Because you don't have your truck.
Still, no,
That is-
Chevrolet.
Is that why it's parked out there?
Yes.
Well, it's going to stay out there, right? It's not going to.
Well, yeah,
it's gonna stay in the parking lot.
It'll stay out there permanently.
It's too big to put in your
Can't get it in my driveway.
driveway. But your truck, the fifth wheel, your truck is still in the shop.
Truck is still in the shop.
Going on
Chevrolet.
8 weeks
Yeah,
transmission.
yeah. Chevrolet still says no. It's under warranty. It's only a year old.
Well, under warranty and not getting it back.
No,
doesn't
I
do
know.
any
Well,
good.
you're heading down that road. I'm telling
know.
you. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Chevrolet, and I love Chevrolet. I just want them to. I don't know what's going on.
What is up with the supply chain now?
Yeah, because it's no different. Ford's going through an issue too.
Yeah.
They're all going.
You remember there was
through-
that time the microchip, you couldn't buy a new
Yeah.
car for a while.
Yeah.
And used vehicles went through the roof because there weren't any microchips.
So, since you brought it up,
yeah.
because I said it on the show last week that in 2019, Allison stopped making the transmission, but they still put their name on it, and Chevrolet started. Mm-hmm. I wanted to verify that, right? So, because I had been told that, but I didn't know if it was 100% true. Mm-hmm. So I Google it, and the first thing that comes up, it says no, that Chevrolet buys its transmissions from Allison, but Allison makes the transmissions for all Chevrolets.
Okay.
And you keep reading, since 2019, in the 6.6 liter 10-speed, Chevrolet, GM makes it, and Allison just backs it with the engineering and puts their name on it. Well, then it is exactly what I said.
But what's wild about that, if they made their own transmission and you're making them for new vehicles, don't you think you'd have the inventory to fix it, replace it?
I don't know, like, who's to blame now?
Yeah.
Since Allison didn't make it, GM made it, but with Allison engineering. I mean, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Guess what? You didn't have a problem before. Why did you change?
Well, I hope you get it fixed.
Me too, man. I miss my truck.
Yeah. So because you can't go camping, y'all decided to just sit on the front porch together,
Enjoyed to
watch fireworks.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah.
Probably nicer for you than her.
No, I think she. I hope she did.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. And then, of course, this weekend, we leave for Vegas.
Is this your first trip to Vegas?
Yeah, I've never been to Vegas. And
You're going with Bart and Tara, right?
Yeah, we're going with neighbors. And they're all wanting, and I'm not saying I don't want to go, but it's not I'm not a gambler. We've been.
So friends of mine just came back, and they were a lot like me. You know, I could probably do the shows, the pools,
Yes.
the drinking, the eating, the fun stuff, but the gambling, I hate losing money.
Well, we went through it a month ago.
Cross lanes,
And
yeah.
I just can't. I mean, dude,
Watch
I
you
cried.
hit it big. Watch you hit it big though. You hit a slot machine and come back with 10 grand or something. That's what I'm hoping for.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna go out there. We'll catch a show. Go to the Hoover Dam. But I will be inside. I will not go outside. The temperature's supposed to be 112 next week.
What they told me, and see if you experience this, the shade. Like here, it feels good to get in the shade. There, it is unbelievable the difference walking from the sun to the shade.
Into the shade?
It's that much difference in temperature.
Well, I won't know because I'm not going outside. I'm just telling you. I already warned my wife. I was like, 112? No thanks. I don't care if it's dry heat.
Yeah.
I'm not going.
Can't wait to hear that. Well, we won't hear it. So we won't hear it next week. It'll be 2 weeks that we hear it
Correct.
because you'll be at Vegas.
Yep.
So, and to announce for next week then,
Yes.
I'll be hosting the show, and Travis Baxter has said he will join me and help me out.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. What did you do over the 4th?
It was mainly, let's see, you're off Friday. Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it was a big, long blur. Our neighbors, when they get together, it's a blur. It was fun. It's a pool.
Nice.
It's deck. It's heat. It's drinking. It's grilling. And do it again the next day.
The Great American 4th.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. We did go up to Hazy Mountain. Have you ever been up there yet?
I haven't.
Man, go up 151 where the wineries are. Mm-hmm. Right there around Veritas.
Yeah.
Where if you turn left on 151, you go to Veritas. Don't turn left. They don't even have a sign for it. How they stay in business, I don't know. They don't even have a sign on 151, but you turn right on Dickie Woods Lane Road,
Sure.
which is the next right. You would think you were at Yellowstone. It is the prettiest place in Virginia.
Nice.
I mean, honestly, it's really cool.
Cool.
Yep. So we did that and had a good time.
And this weekend?
This weekend, Cousin Dave is having his July 4th get together a week after July 4th.
Your brother's going.
Yep. My brother's going. My parents are going. They're kind of camping.
I took him a generator the other day.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I think I want to give him the my battery pack thing too.
Yeah.
Because I want to see if you hook the solar panels up to it, if it lasts through the night. Like if he turns off the generator and turns on that, how long does that thing last?
Interesting.
It'd be awesome if it lasted through the night.
Yeah.
Because that way you don't have to listen to the generator noise at night. But we'll see.
Yeah.
It is made for camping, so.
Cool.
We'll see.
So that's what we'll be doing. So,
Emma, you vacationed, and then what's coming up this weekend?
Work.
Okay.
I work all weekend.
Catching up.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happens when you go on vacation.
now you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
On to this day in history.
This day in history.
In 1877,
Yeah.
Wimbledon began.
Remember it well.
Can you believe, though,
Yeah, that's wild.
that it's been that long that Wimbledon started its tournament in a neighborhood?
Yeah. That's incredible.
That is incredible.
Same grass.
My hydrogen water is complete, so I can get healthy by drinking this water. Maybe one day they'll sponsor the show. Shameless plug. Anyway,
Yeah.
what do you got?
By the way, Joker is in the semifinals. He won today, and Center beat Shelton. They're in the semis against one another. Alcaraz, which, I mean, pretty much at the beginning, you just know it's going to be an Alcaraz Center final. But I hope Joker can just
Fritz is
squeak it in.
cutting through. I'm telling you, that kid's incredible.
I wouldn't know him if he walked in here. I have no idea what he even looks
That's
like.
crazy because the ones you like
Yeah.
he's 5th in the world. The ones you like are like 17th and 12th.
Yeah, but I guess, I don't know, Shelton and Tiafoe. I know because of the U.S. Open. That's how I
Right.
know them.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Fritz he's John McEnroe. I mean, 1 minute next minute he's throwing a racket.
Oh, really?
Oh yes, he's incredible to watch.
I have to watch him. In my history was in 1950, July 7th, which is not this day, but close to this day, this week. That's actually what I typed, this week in history. The Korean War began.
Okay.
That's this week.
No, I mean that's
Yeah.
It's what are you laughing at?
Because you went, okay.
No.
So anyway, the Korean War began. What I think is interesting, and I still think is interesting about that war, is officially they signed the Armistice Agreement in 1953, which was a 3-year war, if you will. They've never signed a peace treaty. They're still underneath that original agreement.
Oh my God.
They never stopped the war.
Really?
Officially, they're still under war.
Oh,
So they never have finished it. They just don't cross the line.
they're trying to go for the 100-year war.
Yeah. How about Trump? Remember him going across the line?
Yeah.
Walking in North Korea?
Yeah.
That was crazy, wasn't it?
So I don't know. That's one of the wars. Like one of the things that bothers me the most is that D-Day is here.
Yeah.
And I love going to all their events. I'm a sponsor and it's phenomenal. I love it. But I often wonder, I just don't know enough about World War I.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about the Korean War. Those are the two that just I seem to not have any knowledge of.
That is true.
I know a lot about Vietnam and,
Yeah.
all the rest, but is there a World War I memorial? And if it is it nice like this?
Oh, you mean in D.C.?
Yeah. Or is it just
Yeah,
a
I think
small?
so. No, I think it's nice.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll have to do some research.
I have to, get staff on that.
All right. On to American hero stories.
The American dream is built on freedom, and that freedom comes at a cost. American Heroes Stories, presented by Life, Liberty, Happiness, is a new series honoring the men and women who've sacrificed to protect that dream. We're proud to play a small part in preserving their stories for future generations. Life, Liberty, Happiness, a Media Squatch podcast presents American Heroes Stories.
All right, folks. We are welcomed today by Marine Corps veteran Gregory Meacham. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Do you go by Gregory or Greg?
Greg.
Just Greg. Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about where your humble beginnings began. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Stayed most of my 18 years in a rural area. And 4 kids, mom and dad. But my biological father was in the Army. My uncles were in the Marines, which had a great influence on me in later years. My uncle came back from Korea wounded the last day of the fight for Seoul, and I saw him in his dress blues, and it kind of ruined me, and then went forward from there.
Wow. So what year did you decide to sign up?
Right out of high school, in 1967, I signed up in June, and I went to boot camp at San Diego because I was on the western side of the Mississippi River. Mm-hmm. And I spent 8 weeks there. 8 weeks. At the time was a lot of things were going on. They pushed us to boot camp pretty quickly, and then I went to radio school. I became a radio operator. Carried a radio on my back in Vietnam.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So once you're done with boot camp, do you know in boot camp that you're going to be going to Vietnam at some point, or is it? At that time, it's kind of up in the air?
When we finished boot camp, they give us our orders.
Okay.
And at that time, being from Iowa, I had pretty clear speech. Not so much now. But I remember getting my orders as 2531, you'll be a radio operator. You'll be carrying a 75-pound radio on your back. I weighed 133 pounds.
Good Lord.
And you'll be going Fleet Marine Force. You will be going to Vietnam. They told us right out of boot camp. Yeah, we'd be going.
All right. So what was your first interaction, I guess? They drop you off in Vietnam? I mean, are you with a group at that point?
No, sadly, and this is what a lot of us talk about, Vietnam vets. World War I and World War II, you trained with your guys. You trained with your squads, your fire teams, your platoons, your companies. But in Vietnam, it was fractured, and we literally went over there as individuals and never saw, except for very few situations, we ever saw any of the guys we were in boot camp with again.
Right.
Now, how do you think you were selected for the radio part of it? I mean, you said you were kind of light, but you got to carry a 75-pound radio with you. How do you think you got selected for that?
Well, it was a clear speech. But I was always, as a farm boy, I was a hard worker. I've always worked out and pretty good care of myself. But
how much training did you get on the radio before you had to go to Vietnam?
Actually, quite a bit.
Okay.
We started out with what they call bricks, which are PR6s, and little handheld bricks. And then we went to the 25, which was primarily what we carried. Then land to air was a PRC 47. And we actually got in the TSC 15 vans where we could skip with ham radio operators all over the world. We learned to operate those. But the entire time I was there, all I had was the 25 and the 47.
So how long are you there before you start? Do you end up in a combat zone? I'm imagining.
Well, I got into Da Nang, and there's this big board of Vietnam, and it's broken up in corps. And I Corps is the most heavily fought area upon the DMZ. And this guy, I guess he thought it was funny, said, well, you're clear down here. The farther you go north, the worse it's going to be for you. And he said, you're right up there on the DMZ. Good luck, buddy.
Oh, wow.
So I flew up and I got out at Dong Ha and was assigned to 4th Battalion, 12th Marines. And I spent the majority of my time on fire bases up on the DMZ. We moved almost monthly in support. And we fired a 155 self-propelled howitzer. And you just don't get to be a radio operator. You've got to work the guns too. You got to put fuses on those 92-pound rounds.
Wow.
You got to throw them up in the chamber, the breech, put the powder charge behind them, close the fire and lock, put the primer in there. Everybody does that because during those massive fire missions, people start passing out. The cordite powder that comes from those artillery rounds are like pellets, and they're basically black powder. And after you ingest enough of that smoke, you can see the guys starting to coming through their nose, and as they breathe, it's all coming out of their lungs.
Oh, wow.
You pull somebody out, put somebody else in there.
I never knew that. I see firing of howitzers all the time. You just see it on video. I never thought about the inhalation of the...
Well, you've got two kinds of a howitzer. You've got a towed howitzer, and a self-propelled looks like a tank with a big barrel and a big flash suppressor on the end of it. And at nighttime, you don't want to be seen. So you're working off of glow lights inside, not the kind you're talking about, but some other ones we had. And you might fire 25, 30 rounds, get a 2-minute break, and another fire mission comes up, and you're back in it again. And yeah, it was pretty challenging for a 133-pound guy. It was.
Wow.
I mean,
and what, 18 years old, 19?
19 for me.
Oh my God.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, it's how many years ago has this been? 40, 50?
Yeah.
And yet you're sitting here talking about how you loaded it like it happened last night. I mean, it's amazing to me, just all the things you remember.
You remember things that if you forget them, get you killed.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I went over and I was embedded in Iraq with Special Forces, we used, of course, the phonetic alphabet. And they asked me, did I know it? And I could recite it backwards, forwards. I just can't forget it.
Wow.
And those are the types of things you learn. And if you don't do those things, somebody gets killed.
Yeah.
So you train to live.
When you're at the howitzer like that, and you said you also were radio and you had to help fire it, my question is the radio one way? I mean, what I'm saying is, are you giving commands, or are you also listening to help fire the howitzer in the right spot? Or is that what does the radio guy do?
The radio guy in that situation is strictly in the gun.
Okay.
He's got nothing to do with the Fire Direction Center, which is underground in bunkers. We live like hobbits up there. In your Fire Direction Center, the fire mission comes in from the units that want the support. And once that comes in, it comes in basically with their nature of target and azimuth, what you're going after, November Victor Alpha in the open, VC, whatever. And then you decide what you want in adjustment, whether it's a 200-meter burst of white phosphorus, what you want for effect, which is an HE with surface impact, or you want a 30-meter burst over the top of the tree line. Once that all comes up, then the Fire Direction Center calculates exactly based upon the grid that you receive from the man in the field how to set the elevation of the quadrant on the weapon systems.
Wow.
And
Can you see what you're firing at, or is it too far away that you don't even know?
very seldom. We fired direct fire several times. We got beat pretty bad at the rock pile by a howitzer, a PAC 75 howitzer. We ended up knocking it out with an F4 Phantom, naped it. But he would roll that thing. Well, 5 of them would roll it out, and they would pound us.
Huh.
But because the entrance to the cave was not on our gun target line, we couldn't shoot into it, but we wanted to make them miserable.
Yeah.
So we'd shoot back at it,
Yeah.
But places like Quezon, I was there at the very end. It wasn't nearly as bad as the beginning. But those guys they went through it. They were sleeping up underneath their howitzer. And because of so much incoming, 1,200, 1,400 rounds.
Oh, wow.
And the enemy's just pounding them. And so they ended up shooting a lot of the barrels out of 4th Battalion, 12th Marines, 155 self-propels. They took the flash suppressors off them, or the muzzle brake, as they called it. They went and got a bucket of eye bolts. They took the eye bolts off, and we unscrew them off the rounds to put the fuse in, poured them in there, and put a light green bag charge in them, shot them back in the jungle. About 3-pound eye bolts coming.
Wow.
Hey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was something.
So, how long was your? Did you have multiple tours or just one?
Well, I had 2 tours, and after about 7 or 8 months, I was no longer the new guy, and I wasn't eating the ham and lima beans. I was eating the chicken and noodles. But that taste is something we'll talk about when we're not on the air. And I became I got combat merit choice, promoted to corporal, and it was different. But some of the realities were still there. Things like everybody has to take their chances. And as an example, when the enemy would fire a round in on us, when we start taking a lot of rounds, we want to find out where the enemy's at. Well, we have nobody in the sky to see where they're shooting. So one lone Marine, and I've done this several times, it's not fun. You run out with like a broomstick and a protractor. You pin that to the side of that broomstick so it'll swivel. What you do is you look at the spray from the shrapnel and you find the center. And that's your direction.
Wow.
Of fire.
Unbelievable.
And then you read the mark on the protractor, and I write it on the back of my hand. So if I go down, they can at least have my hand to go by. And you go in the underground bunker, and they're able to coordinate those 2 very simple things, your direction with a lensatic compass and the protractor on the stick, and they can fire counter battery back on the enemy.
Now, did you learn that from boot camp? Did you learn that from the States, or is that just on the fly that somebody
I learned it
at the site?
They did it when there was no incoming and showed me how to do it.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, Meacham, greater analysis. I said, oh, Lord. Because those rounds come in, and they're no joke. That's we lost quite a few guys. Well,
oh, man.
We lost quite a few guys to incoming rounds.
And the bravery, just the bravery, man. Good grief.
But we all take our chances,
Yeah.
All of us do.
Wow. So the second tour back, was it as? So I guess you're there for 7 months. Did you rotate out?
13 months.
Oh, so you were there for 13.
Yeah.
That was the first tour?
First tour. Second tour, I was there for 11. They gave me a choice to either stay and train the ARVNs, the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, or go home with the Marines. And I wasn't about to stay with the ARVNs. So I went home. But my first tour, I got injured. We were in the middle of a fire mission, and I caught the blast of a howitzer in my left ear at the same time we were getting incoming rounds. Well, all I remember is waking up and looking around, and I was laying on the ground, and I went in the underground bunker of the Fire Direction Center and just passed out. Well, I laid there in my bunk for 2 days underground because we had no Hueys, no medevacs coming in, and it had blown my tympanic membrane, and my semicircular canals had been torn out, and so they medevaced me out to USS Sanctuary. I was out there, I think, 56 days. And I love the Navy. I love the Army. I love them all. All of them have had a profound impact on my life. And these Navy corpsmen just worked over me, man.
Wow.
They filled my teeth. They made new glasses for me. They make sure my IVs were constantly going in so the infection could come out. My face was all swollen up from the infection. They wheeled me down to the mess hall in the bottom of this, and literally, except for Christmas and Thanksgiving, we ate C rations. We weren't in Da Nang. We weren't in Dong Ha. We ate C rations. So I got to go in the belly of that ship, and I got to have cold milk, pork chops, and beef. And I said, this is heaven.
Oh man, that's amazing.
It's the things that we've noticed when we've been doing these interviews a lot that they speak of is just finally getting to eat something.
A warm
real.
meal
Right.
was incredible. Yeah.
Well, the Marine Corps got part of its priorities right. The part they got is two beers a day. So if you were out someplace for 4 days, you better come back. And there better be 8 beers there. Somebody's probably going to bleed. But the rest of the time we drank, and I'm not joking, I can't stand the stuff today, lime green Kool-Aid.
Oh, okay.
And it was warm. We didn't have ice.
Yeah.
And we put our beers in the creeks to keep them cool in net bags and stuff. But it was different. There was no table set for us up there. Indifference in Iraq, when I went up to Talifar with my Special Forces team, 1315, I said, we're going to eat MREs up here. They had an aircraft hangar, and we put 16-foot T-barriers around us because this was not a good place. This is right at the Syrian border. And we did our target package operations from there. And this guy comes up to me and he said, I'm Dave Garcia. He said, I'm the cook. I said, okay. What do you got to cook? He said, I've got 2 tractor and trailers coming up. One of them has all of my stoves and my cooking equipment. The rest of it's full of food. He said, what do you want for breakfast? I said, what do you mean what do I want for breakfast? So I realized that I should have joined the Army.
Now, let me ask you back to when you were getting worked on and you had gotten a blast and had to be under your howitzer. Was that at the end of your run, or did you have to go back? Did you?
That was about 8 months into my first tour.
Wow.
And they shot me right back.
And you go right back to what you were doing.
Right back to it, yeah.
Now, are you regretting that, or you can't wait to get back with your guys and do it and keep going at it?
I regretted the fact that we were drinking ice cold milk, but I also, it's kind of like that team concept. You're worried about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While I was gone, Santiago, one of our guns took a direct hit, and we had 4 big round powder bags, and they caught fire. When they burned white hot. And he got burned up dragging one of the guys out of there. So it really bothered me because I liked him a whole lot. He's really, really a nice guy.
Yeah.
And then we went up to Camp Carroll. We took our battery up there, and then one day there were 4 radio operators. It was Dave Bilberry, Michael Ivory, and Philip Inman and myself. Philip and Michael were killed by the same artillery round, just blew them all to pieces. And then Dave came running across the ground. I was in a fighting hole, and he kept falling down, and I realized he had taken a piece of shrapnel through his back and collarbone. So I had to put him in the fighting hole with me, put a dressing on him, and then wait for the artillery attack to abate and get him over to the underground bunker because he lost a lot of blood. And, that was just one day, and now we're down to 1 radio operator.
Wow.
This guy. But it was, it's fascinating to me how life works sometimes. Because when I went to the wall for the first time, I searched for their names, obviously. And I can't remember. I know it's on the west side. It might be 23, might be 33. But the wall is set up based upon date of death and then alphabetized. Well, Michael, Ivory, and Philip Inman. Both their names begin with I. And they died side by side, and they're side by side on the wall.
Oh, man, that gave me chills.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I actually spoke to Philip's sister. She had called me, and actually Dave Bilberry, who got wounded, his mother, and he called me. And so things work out sometimes.
Yeah.
So you finished your first and second tour of Vietnam, and then you come back. What's after that? What does life look like for you then?
Well, I wanted to get as far away from the military as I possibly could. And I don't know why, because I've always loved the Marine Corps. I love it today. But just so much turmoil up in D.C. And when I came back, they stationed me at Quantico, and the first thing we do is in May of 71 is we get on the bridges. And that was during the time that the revolutionaries had decided to meet in D.C. and go through downtown D.C. coming out of Georgetown and set cars on fire and throw trash cans through windows. So next thing I know, my job was to do physical conditioning for OCS candidates, and all our leaves were canceled, and 15,000 Marines got in cattle cars. Went up to Fort Belvoir, and next morning we were waiting on those bridges for them. There were 250 of us armed with M16s, bayonets, live ammo, and there were about 8,000 of them trying to cross the bridge.
Good Lord.
And I remember my captain told them, cease and desist, this illegal activity, this bridge is being held by the Marines, you're not going to cross. Disband. Their answer was to throw a gas grenade on us. Well, we eat gas. I mean, that's not a big thing for the Marines.
Yeah.
And then we went to order arms, fix bayonets, port arms, a magazine, and 20 rounds, lock and load. Forward to march, ready, engage. And they weren't so brave then. We pushed them down Georgetown Avenue to where the Banana Republic is now. And we had them blocked off with Metro and had them blocked off with D.C. The Maryland State Police. We funneled them right over into a 15-foot wooden wall that went 200 or 300 yards, and that's what the rest of 15,000 Marines were waiting for.
I don't know the history. I don't know this story. The history.
it's crazy.
So who are the people that you're funneling? Who are the revolutionaries?
They are these.
The Americans?
Oh yeah, they're absolutely just.
Anarchists?
They're against the government.
Oh, okay.
They're absolutely against the military.
Wow.
And I've always felt like a lot of that was because they just didn't stand up and go to war.
Yeah.
And they've tried to convince themselves that
Would this be like Jane Fonda? Was that
Something
similar
along
to
those
that?
lines. So the protests.
It would be that.
Yeah.
These were all,
Guaranteed.
they met in Chicago, met in L.A., I'm sorry. And then they met in Chicago, and then the final meeting was here in D.C., and they're going to cause much turmoil. There's actually a picture of them on the White House steps mooning.
So for you, fighting for our country, and now you're fighting our country, that had to be tough. I mean, you're our own citizens.
Well, it is, but I kind of felt like that what they were doing was, and I firmly believe this, when they got together, the more they pounded each other on the back, the braver they became.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to fight. And my least, a lot of them came from my least favorite college in the world, Berkeley.
Oh, yeah.
And, boo, Berkeley. And they came up there, and they really thought they were tough.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't know tough.
Right.
That's right.
And they found out real quick. So anyway, yeah, that answers that question, I guess.
So you, after that, how long before you're now out and you're not?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half.
I had the best job. I went over and ran with that little 25-pound radio. I'm sorry, 75-pound radio, but now I weigh 155 pounds. And I ran 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 miles with that on the hill trails with OCS candidates trying to catch me.
Wow.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
It to me was probably one of the funnest things I've ever done.
So Brian doesn't know this, but I went to OCS training in Quantico, and if you were training OCS candidates, you were a badass, and that sounds like you are anyway. But I was always impressed. They always brought the baddest dudes for us to go with, and I was like, these are the toughest guys I've ever seen.
I enjoyed it so much because I stayed in the gym. I've always lifted. I've always ran. I was a long distance runner for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And you've met Steve Bozeman, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Steve and I have run many, many marathons, 50 milers.
Wow.
We've done Ironman, double Ironman together and stuff. And he's a real badass.
Yeah.
He's my favorite athlete.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did you win any awards, accommodations, medals?
I've got my, I had 3 campaign medals because I was there 2 years.
Yeah.
My Vietnam service, the one I'm most proud of and most surprised by was my good conduct medal. Cross of Gallantry, our unit got a Cross of Gallantry. And National Defense, I think there's 7 or 8 of them, but I have to look at my DD-214 and tell you what they are.
Yeah.
All right. So what is your career after the military at that point in time?
Well, I only wanted to be 2 things in my life. I started out, I wanted to be a farmer, but I knew that wasn't going to work out because I didn't like the frozen ground in Iowa 6 months of the year. And I love Virginia, so I thought about law enforcement.
Okay.
And I ended up taking a physical for it, and the doctor cut me some slack because this here was trashed. And I got the job, and I policed for 25 years.
And you were
Lynchburg.
City of Lynchburg. Okay. Would Bennett be the captain then, or
Bennett was my chief, my last chief.
Chief? Yeah.
Bob was a great chief. Probably
Yes.
probably my favorite chief.
Legend.
When Chuck was over dealing with the heads of state in Europe, I was in Afghanistan, Iraq, and we'd go back and forth. What are you doing, man? Oh, I just had some go with the president of Swahili land or something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
But he's a great man, good leader.
Yeah, he was wonderful. So you spent 25 years there. So how do you end up back? How does this happen?
I believe, and I've always tried to tell all the young officers, do your career. Do the 25 years. And while you're there, go to as many schools as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go. I became a hostage negotiator. We do command and control. We do tactical. I was on the first SWAT team and advanced tactical. And then you take combat lifesaver, and that kind of stuff. Well, all that stuff, along with your weapons quals, and I think my last 16 years, I shot hundreds day and night, spring and fall. All that comes into it, plus my Marine Corps combat history. And I get a call from a guy who was my rookie at the police department. He said, there's a unit, a company, it's well known, and they're going to call this year 2005, the year of the police. Come over here on a mentor, monitor, and advise program. When you got boots on the ground, let me know. There's some things I want to do with you. So I didn't like the company I worked for, and I'm going to tell you who they were. Just a bunch of egotistical fools that had inflated their resumes and didn't know the first thing about combat. So as soon as I got away from them, I ended up in Mosul. Well, nobody was going out on the street with the military, no civilians. And I said, well, if all I'm going to do is to train Iraqi police, I'm going to do the best job I can. And so I started, 32 guys had gone to what's called GYPTIC in Jordan and had basic police school. And they showed up, and they were some of the smartest and the brightest of those guys. And next thing I know, I'm talking to a Special Forces commander. I get a call from this police officer I told you that I trained. He's in Iraq, up in northern Iraq. He's up in Erbil. And next thing I know, I'm embedded with Special Forces.
Wow.
And so together we've continued to train. And the reason that I ended up is not because I'm all that in a box of chips. It just was the fact that I had a real quantifiable and real resume.
Yeah.
And I could help Special Forces cleaning rooms and a firearms instructor and this, that. And it was just a marriage made in heaven. I mean, I love those guys. I worked with 4 teams, and I stay in contact with them now.
Wow.
And they are consummate professionals when it comes to blowing doors and going after bad guys. And we did in Mosul and Talafar over 600 explosive entries.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
So Mosul, and you had told me when I met you about the movie Mosul, and I watched it. And I guess, my first question is, and what your thoughts are, and this really has nothing to do with the training that you did, but just your opinion of this. When I watched the movie, one of the things that stood out to me the most is it was a land of rubble. I mean, it looked like the Lego set that you see that they just spill out there.
And it's a lot like that.
So, and it was so, I mean, to me, was it beautiful? And then this is a recent explosion, or is this 50 years of it being torn up like that?
Most of it came from, a lot of it was during the battle in 03, 04, 05. And you can see all the pockmarks. This is the second biggest city in the country.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's 2.7 million people, 16,000 police. But you can see all the damage to the vehicles. And you can see what's amazing is these traffic circles, how little concrete is left around those traffic circles because they put so many IEDs out over the 2 or 3 years. It's just incredible. But ISIS came in, the very first thing they did was they blew down Jonah's tomb, which is in Mosul. Then they blew the famous gates of Nineveh down, trying to make a fashion statement to the people. Then they butchered a lot of the population in some gross and inhumane ways, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So you're right, it is. It's just a nightmare. They went in to establish their dominance. They would literally go down the street, and I've got the videos. Well, I gave them up. I don't want them anymore. Any of my computers. Just shooting in family cars, just killing people, just shooting and killing. Pushing boys. They had 5-ton trucks pushing boys, taking them up to the sand where Uday and Kusa used to have their harem, shoot them in the back of the head, push them in the Tigris. Literally, it was the Red Sea up there. And their brutality was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That and the fact that they took 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old child brides. Those types of things that America can't really wrap their head around.
Right.
But that is the difference between radical Islam and moderate. Moderate is a whole different ballgame. Yeah.
So when you're breaking down these doors, what are you looking for at that point in time?
Well, we've evolved a little bit since the Lynchburg Police Department. We take a little bit of C4 and a det cord and an IV bottle, and we paste it all together, stick it on a sticky pad, and then we roll it up. We quietly set up our order of movement. We dismount. We infill on foot. We push our guys over the wall. We go to the door. We're going to blow, and you stick that sticky thing on the door. Then you hook a shock cord to it. When that goes off, that IV bottle shrinks the center of the metal door, and all 4 corners come in. Blow the doors off. It's called a water impulse charge. That's an explosive breach. Inside, you've got a ballistic breach with a breaching shotgun, and then you also have a mechanical breach. We didn't do any mechanical breaches. We blew the doors because we wanted them to be really scared when we came through that smoke.
So when you bust through or blow through the doors, are you looking for people, bad guys at that point, or are you trying to get intel?
Well, a target package is a lot more than that.
Okay, it's a
You're
target
going
package.
for specific individuals.
Gotcha.
One of the proudest missions we did, we got Muhammad Yunus, who had killed 6 of our guys with a sniper rifle. And it was a big deal. You go after an individual. You meet with your ground and air assets. Everybody sits in on the briefings, the primary briefing, and then the briefing before we actually go out that night. Everybody knows the role. And we go up with the Blackhawks, and we take pictures of the blocks around the objective, and we number them. So if we take fire from 32, and we're at number 1, the objective, we could actually laze it with our green beams, and then our air support just rains heck down on them, man.
Gotcha.
Now, how old are you at this time? I mean, what age range are you at this time?
Went over there 56.
So I'm 55. I was hot today because from my office to my truck.
Well,
Holy cow.
55 was, it depends on what kind of 55 you are.
Yeah, well, I'm not that kind.
If you go over there, and you look like this when you're 62.
Yeah, I don't look like that.
Okay. Well,
Don't show that to Emma.
no.
All right, so I'm curious. At this point, you're a contract. What do you describe yourself as then? You're working with Special Forces, but you're
I'm a contractor.
Contractor.
But I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy that builds the roads.
No, yeah, I get it.
And I'm a contractor, but what I say a tactical contractor. I'm there to train, but I'm also, what happened was once we got these guys trained, every so often the SF guys are going home.
Yeah,
So I got to take over the team and hold the team.
sure.
And kind of make the transfer from the next team seamless.
Sure.
Show them where the bad guys are in neighborhoods. Now I become the SWAT team commander.
Yeah.
And which is right here. And I have to take care of those guys. I have to feed them.
Yeah.
Make sure they got water. Make sure they got the best equipment. And I gave them the best equipment. And we actually activated asset forfeiture, which is a form I got from the Lynchburg Police Department. And we took the LPD heading off, and we put Special Forces, whichever team we were with. And when I would get calls from Rotary, we got guys trying to go through the point entry, and they don't want to be caught. We get in the Blackhawks, go out, and we stop them, jump out on them. The first 2 times, we got 2 Iveco trucks with 2 5-ton trucks full of American cigarettes. So we took them up to a bazaar up in the Hook, where it's safe, where the Kurds are. I came back with $384,000. I gave 10% to the Special Forces team on a credit card.
Yeah.
30% to brigade. I kept the rest of it for my guys. So my guys didn't have raggedy equipment.
Yeah.
I had great weapon systems, 300 Win Mags, thermals, silencers, all that stuff. But we regularly did that, and when we would capture somebody, we would take everything they owned, and we take it up to the bazaar and we sell it. And that way the American public did not have to fund this team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these are Iraqis that you're training, trying to keep their country from ISIS. Is that essentially it?
No, this is from ISIS is after me.
Okay. All right.
ISIS is probably 4 iterations after me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And they, we're dealing with, we made a big mistake, our country did, in saying that, people that worked in the Ba'ath Party couldn't have anything to do with the government, and a lot of the people that were in the military could no longer have anything to do with the government. How many millions of people you put out there trained to fight, and now they don't have a job and they can't feed their families?
That's a good point. Wow. So I'm sorry, I'm jumping in with some questions, but I can't
Well, I'm
help
curious.
but thinking.
Is it normal to have a contract work with Special Forces, or is this an abnormal situation?
I would say it's abnormal.
Okay, yeah.
And actually, the first time I met General Petraeus, because of operational security, I didn't know he was coming in. And anyway, a buddy of mine came over and said, "Hey, they want you to eat with the colonel tonight." So I went in there and I saw this first sergeant working the door, and I said, "What did you do?" First sergeant don't work the door to mess on. He laughed. He was a friend of mine. Everybody calls me Pops. That was my name. Most of these people don't know. I have any idea what my name is, even the closest guys. And I walk in, and there's Maliki, the president. There's Salah. There's Wathick. And they're sitting at a table this way, facing forward. The head table up there has got Command Sergeant Major, I can't remember his last name, Petraeus. It's got my SF regional commander, Sam Fields, my captain at that time, and there's my name up there. I said, "What is this all about? I hope I'm not in any trouble." But he actually took me aside and he asked me, he said, "Why don't you come down to Baghdad and train and teach people to do what you do, because you're the only guy pretty much done." And I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't do good around the flagpole. And I said, I thought his Command Sergeant Major was going to kill me. I said, "No," I don't want to do that. And I said, "But understand," and Petraeus thought it was funny. He kind of chuckled. I said, "I can't teach people from a podium. I can't observe them. I can't certify them. When I've got to have them go through a door with me, with the bad guys, and watch me do it enough times. Then I'll turn my team over to them. I'll have oversight.
Yeah.
And then they learn to do what I do. Then I'll certify and send them to you." Thought that was a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
But no, to answer your question, very few people. There were few people.
Sure.
I never expected to live with them.
Right.
I was with them all the time, training, and they loved my guys. It was really funny how much they liked my guys.
Are they speaking Persia or Persian? What do they speak? And how
Farsi.
Farsi. How are you able to get over that?
I have this awesome interpreter who was an Egyptian. His name is Amir Banoub. He'd been an American citizen for 12 years. Emir couldn't hit that wall with a rifle. He was quite possibly the worst shot I've ever seen.
But you haven't met Brian.
Really?
Hunting season.
Well, as it turns out, I got him a big old beautiful cold steel knife, which would come back to bite me in the tail later. But Emir translated for me. And because of his age, like my age, he was my age. Arabs respect age. And most of my guys would call me grandfather or something. It didn't bother me. Mm-hmm. And my favorite one would call me daddy, you know. But that interaction between the SF guys, they'd come over to I had a compound built just for the team.
Yeah.
4 towers up there with belt feds, 4 fighting positions to get to it because everybody hated my guys.
Yeah.
You know, they're bad boys. My guys from Special Forces, we'd drive over there and play volleyball with them. We'd eat with them. Mm-hmm. Well, and I'll tell you something that really struck several people. It didn't strike me too much. But before we go out, we take turns. You know, just thanking the Lord for deliverance. Please bring us back in one piece. Nobody gets harmed. Let's do our job, do the mission, bring everybody home safe. And we come back in and somebody would say, thank you, Lord, for deliverance. And everybody, hoorah, and off we go. Well, the Arabs were so impressed by that. They came to me and said, Pops, can we pray with you?
Oh, wow, man.
So we let them get into the circle of our SF guys, and they would pray first, and then we would pray. 2 totally different religions, you know.
That's beautiful.
And it was. And Big Osama, no relation to Bin Laden, was a great big guy. He had 16 5E feet. He had never worn shoes. He had sandals. So one day I convinced him I wanted to outline his foot. And I told him, I'm going to make a set of wooden shoes for you. And then I went on ahead and I took to his space with my team logo on, and I sent it to Danner Boots. They made me 2 pair of boots free of charge.
Oh, my goodness.
You ought to have seen those things. They were boats. Well, he's just a great big guy. He'd literally sit there and cried to put those boots on. I got a bunch of Thurlow socks for him, too. And he said, look, I have boots. I have boots. And boy, he was, when I would stay with my guys, which is not really smart, and not sleep with my SF team, every once in a while, I'd ease on over there. They'd PSD me over there, and I had a room up there. And my room had a bed and a table and my computer and everything. And I was in constant contact with SF. They were 15 minutes away. Big Osama would lay with his back against my door, and my hinges are inbound on his mattress with his rifle. To get to me, they had to get through him. People talk about the lack of camaraderie between the Arabs and the soldiers. You just don't know the Arabs. And when you actually sit down and talk to them, you literally become part of their family. When you're feeding their wife and children, when they get married, they give them money. They don't want ribbons. They don't want medals. They want money. Barakat, Hamish, Sergeant Sadi, all 3 got shot. We got ambushed. Hamish was laying there. We're blowing the windows out of this little compound. Barakat goes out and grabs Hamish. He's dragging him backwards. He brings his rifle up to shoot at this guy in this far left corner window. The guy shoots him through the rear receiver of his rifle. If you're familiar with an AK, there's a release block that's pressured in there. You lift that and your receiver comes out. Shot him right through it. I've got that at home, by the way.
Wow.
Barakat drops to one knee, takes Hamish's rifle, shoots the guy in the window, and then drags Hamish back down to me. And I had some frags. And he kept trying to tell me, Amir says, give him the frags, give him the frags. So he's shot. Not badly, but he's got pieces. He goes up and throws the frags through the windows.
Wow.
You know,
Tough.
When you do stuff, he's a Kurd.
Yeah.
And the Kurds are
They were tough.
nails.
Yeah.
When you do stuff for those guys, when you show them you care about them, you can sit down as a Christian and you can talk to them. But you don't want to do that unless you're really close to them because it offends them.
Yeah.
But we would go through things like, Pops, what do you know? What do you know about my people? I said, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
I said, Abraham had a wife. Her name was Sarah. She couldn't conceive. He gave her a handmaid Hagar. He had Ishmael. Oh, Ishmael, yeah. They're going crazy, bro.
Yeah.
And I said, and then they went fussing back and forth like they're going to do, 2 wives and a child. And God promised her that their children would be like the sands of the earth and the seas of the earth. And off they go. I said, why do you hate the Jews? I said, you have the same father, Abraham. He's buried in Iraq. And they think about that. But they've been told there is no Holocaust.
Yeah.
Well, they've been lied to by everybody, so
Yeah.
I don't really know.
So I'm curious, just for my own curiosity. I'm a fan or listen to John McPhee. Did you ever come cross paths with the guy? I guess it was named Sheriff of Baghdad for his special forces stuff over there. I was just curious if y'all crossed paths.
No, we stayed up in Mosul. None of us wanted to go down to Baghdad. There's
Yeah.
too many stars down there. You know.
That makes sense.
Do you see Mosul ever? I mean, I look at these cities, when I look at Gaza and I look at what Lebanon, when I look at these cities of rubble, I wonder: is there hope? Are those people? Are their foundations good enough that it could be built back? Can it ever be built back?
It can be built back. The actual mechanics of building a building can be built back, and they can have a structured government. But you're always going to have the tribal difficulties between the Shias, the Kurds, you know, and the Sunnis, and you're going to have that. That's in their lineage, and they're always going to try to work together to the point where they can come out on top.
Yeah.
And it's just they've been that way their entire life.
Yeah.
They can rebuild, but you'll always have that issue going on.
Well, I wonder in a city of 2.7 million, I mean, they built it at one time. They had those things up, you know, and it just doesn't. I just wonder, when did it all start looking like that?
Well,
Can it recover?
I guess what you got to worry about is who's in charge of who's in charge.
Yeah.
And Saddam was unbelievably brutal. His he had a castle. We took his castle and we used it for our headquarters.
Yeah.
Beautiful, unbelievable, gorgeous mosaics and marbles, just extraordinary. And the people are out there going through plastic looking for some kind of little food in it, you know. And Uday and Qusay, they just did whatever they wanted. They raped, they murdered, they did anything they wanted. And the people despised them. When we killed them, they actually made a dump site where their house was. And but then again, it's based upon, was Saddam good to you or was he not good to you?
Yeah.
Wow. You mentioned before we came on air, you mentioned rescuing or saving a wealthy person's daughter. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, we didn't do a lot of things in the daytime. A few things. We did all our target packages at night, but occasionally we had to go out for different things. And I can't remember which team this was. I think it was my second team, 71. We were traveling parallel to the Tigris River, and we called it Route Lexus. It was a code name for it. We had routes named for vehicles and stuff. And a white ASV crossed over from two lanes and hit our ASV and blew up. And it was a suicide bomber. Well, it spun it sideways, but it didn't hurt any of our guys. But when we dismounted, we could see people were injured. Two adult mothers were dead. A child was dead. One child was wounded in her torso. And I got to a little girl, and she had a yellow sundress on. And she was missing pretty much everything above her knee and a big chunk of her calf out of her right leg. And I'm just a simple combat lifesaver. I'm not a medic. But I know enough about skin and deer is how the femoral artery works. And we had talked many times about this, the medics and stuff, trying to update us and give us a hand. So first time I put a tourniquet on, she's still bleeding. So I have to go farther up. And again, she's still bleeding. Next time it comes up, it starts dribbling. Well, I can see something, and I realize when I clean it off, it's her femoral. So I take a hemostat and I pull it, well, it comes out in pieces. Go a little bit farther, same thing happened. The third time out, it comes this hole. So I put another hemostat on it, clamp them down, and put blood stoppers on it, wrap it real good, and deal with her calf. I told the medic, and he agreed. He said she won't make it because if she goes to the El Jabri Hospital in Mosul, that's a slaughterhouse. And I felt such a pretty little girl, cute as a button. She was about 9, maybe 10. So we fast forward a few months, and we get a call through Brigade. Brigade wants to talk to me and the captain, and we go down and we talk. Sheikh Abdullah, who controls all the points of entry into Iraq, is the uncle to this little girl. And he was able to find out which team, and then also inevitably who it was that passed up. So we end up going out in the desert, 4-hour trip on the most miserable trip of my life. 2 of my guys in the back seat, 2 of my operators, heat exhaustion, passed out. It was so hot. It was so hot that I took my Nomex gloves off and touched my rifle, and it burnt my hands.
Wow.
So I pulled a round out of the chamber, dropped the mag and everything. Same thing with my handgun. I got the other guys in the other vehicles do the same thing. And then we had to take these guys out and deal with them. Well, that's definitely a story for off the air. And make sure that they were hydrated. And then we went to this guy's, all I can say, it was just an Oasis palace. It was this huge, thick-walled, heavily machine gun, turrets on top with this great big thick gate, big gears and stuff. And the closer you get to it, you see these pipes coming out of the ground. That's his irrigation pipes going to his, I don't know what other than Oasis guys. And they open the gate and we come through and we get out and we take our body armor out and we throw it in the trunk, our battle helmets out, lock our weapons in the trunk, just take our sidearms with us. And this guy comes out and he just introduces himself. He has an American interpreter there. Of course, Amir's with me. And then his brother comes out, and his brother wants to find me, and he starts crying. And, she was sent to Austria. I keep saying Switzerland, but she was sent to Austria, flew her right out of the country and saved her life,
Wow.
So we spent several days there. I got to watch him fly falcons, and he had beautiful Arabian horses. He had butlers and waiters and the most beautiful gardens you've ever seen. God, it was gorgeous. And then, of course, we had to go back to the crap hole of both.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, before we get you out of here, because we do appreciate you coming in, we always finish off our interviews with a question. If you could pick anybody in history, who would you pick to spend 24 hours with, and where would you spend with them?
Well, that's absolutely no problem, man. So that Jesus up in heaven, that's where I want to be.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Well, you're listening to Life, Liberty, Happiness and their American Hero Stories, Marine Corps Vietnam veteran Gregory Meacham. Thank you.
Need insurance in Bedford? I'm David Honecker, your local State Farm agent. Whether it's home, auto, or life insurance, we've got you covered with personalized service and great rates. Let us help you protect what matters most with the reliability and trust of State Farm. Call us today at 540-586-8194 or visit our office that is conveniently located at 1232 East Lynchburg-Salem Turnpike in Bedford, right beside the Walmart. We are your go-to State Farm agent. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call us today.
Are slow internet speeds ruining your online experience? It's time for a change. Zytel, your local fiber high-speed broadband provider. With Zytel, say goodbye to lag, buffering, and endless loading screens. And that's not all. Zytel is proud to sponsor Grove Street FM Sports. Enjoy your favorite sports events without interruption, thanks to Zytel's lightning-fast internet. Join the Zytel family today and experience the internet like never before. Visit Zytel.com today and supercharge your internet. Zytel are proud sponsors of Grove Street FM Sports.
CNS Business Services is your local place to get professional services. Payroll, bookkeeping, taxes, notary, and QuickBooks. Everything is done catered to your needs. Set up a consultation today. Visit their new and improved website at csbusinessservices.online or call 540-586-1120. It's nice to be greeted by those who know you by name, and CNS is a huge supporter of local high school athletics. Not only do they serve the community, they also invest in their community. Professional services by professional staff. Today, tomorrow, and together. CNS Business Services is located in front of the Y in Suite G. Call 1-540-586-1120. folks. We're on to drama. Got a lot of it. Not really, but remember that episode I was telling you about, the blind spot that I've been watching on
Yes.
on Netflix, I think it is, right?
Yes.
So you never watched Ozark,
I did watch the first season and a half.
and then it got.
Yeah, it got kind of creepy. Or
Well, that's kind of the way this one has.
okay.
It's gotten like, it was a fascinating start. She had tattoos from head to toe, and they were solving crimes
that's
based
right,
on
yeah.
her tattoos,
Kind of like
right?
Memento, yeah.
But then now it's turned into anti-government, and it's all liberal. Like, but then they save the world from this liberal, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where you're like, come on, like, just do a good story.
I give up on it. Once it gets into that, if it gets too much into that, then yeah.
Like, it was a Pakistani lady who was now working for the NSA.
Yeah.
And she's in an interview and she goes, do you know how hard it was to be a woman in the NSA? You know, it's like, come on, just do the show. I don't need to. Yes, I can imagine it was hard for a Pakistani to become, part of the NSA. But,
Give up on it.
right, did you have to say it? Like, we can watch the show. I don't need to know.
That's why whenever I think that they're sucking me in and then they want to spin some woke stuff on me,
Yeah.
I quit. I'm not going to keep doing it.
But I'm still watching.
By the way, we got a text message from a listener that said, "Where did you guys find this badass? I'm scared of him and I'm just listening."
Like, he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal.
Oh man, that was so cool. I mean, that interview was all of them. Honestly, I love all of these things. All of their stories.
It didn't hit me till you asked the question. Wait a minute. How old were you when you were in Iraq?
Yeah, you retired before you went.
Right. 56 years old, and the dude's over there with special forces, busting in doors.
Dude, the pictures.
That made me cackle.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, listen, this is kind of drama, I guess, if you want to talk about it. But I don't think people around here understand how lucky we have that Bedford is the same way. They do a lot of training. In the city of Lynchburg, I happen to know a few police officers there, and now the chief. I knew him when he was a captain, Zudema. Like, they're pretty good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, they're nationally accredited. They get a lot of retired military. Like, we should be fortunate that we have that kind of talent here.
Yeah. Which brings me into my drama. So the Netflix thing, Mosul is an excellent movie. It's a little different in the fact, and man, what's crazy is I subtitle everything. Like, I watch closed captioning for everything.
Me too.
I find myself reading and more. I was honestly watching that movie, and I realized I was probably maybe 10 minutes into it, realizing, they're speaking Farsi the entire time. So the movie is only in Farsi. It is a Mosul movie of Mosul people. It is like that. And what is really cool is watching that and then listening to his story, because it talks about the training and going in the doors. Those guys were doing that, and they got the training from them. They look like our police force. Yeah. And they were called SWAT, and that's what he's got tattooed on his arm.
Yeah.
Dude, now that you watch it and you see SWAT, you're like, that was the baddest dudes. The Iraqis were afraid of SWAT. It was really good. So Mosul is definitely something to watch, especially after listening to this.
I tell you what, it's also interesting because I watch the news, you do this thing, and you get kind of caught up in, should we have left Saddam Hussein in power?
Yeah,
right.
I even wondered that.
Political,
yeah.
But then you hear stuff like that. Somebody who's there, that sees the gruesomeness, and not that we should, we don't need to be regime changing,
right?
But at the same time, you hear of stories like that, and they go, "Well, are they any better off today?" Yeah. Well, I don't think they have a leader that's doing the stuff that he was doing.
Yeah,
but I don't,
I know. I just wonder that stuff too.
I don't know that there's a right answer, because some people make it seem so simple. Oh, we just need to forget everybody else and just take care of America.
Yeah,
I'm American first guy, but they will come here.
What I love about our stories is that story he told about saving that little girl.
Yeah, yeah,
The suicide bomber is one of them.
yes,
He kills his own people.
yes.
Doesn't care that it's women
Correct.
and little girls. Has no regard to that. And a man that doesn't even live there saves a 9-year-old little girl. That is what we do. That's our country.
Yeah, do you think he asked her before he started working on her,
Yeah.
are you this, are you that? No.
No, he just went to town and saved a little girl. God, I love those things.
Amazing.
So my other drama,
Yeah.
man, I know you love a documentary like I love a documentary, but that new one that Netflix just released on the Ocean Gate. Okay, so
Okay, I haven't seen it.
I'm also an engineer. So, okay, you know what Ocean Gate was, right? Ocean Gate was that submarine, the submersible.
Oh, yeah.
Where the guy,
Yeah.
that white submersible, and
Yeah.
we spent a week trying to rescue them to find out. Because remember, at the time, we weren't sure if
exploded, yeah.
they just went down to the bottom and had no air. And we had to try to find them because they had 48 hours of air. It will infuriate you to know about this guy.
He was crazy, right?
He was intelligently smart, thought he was Elon Musk of the ocean.
Yeah.
And he was going to do it his way no matter what people. And dude, okay, I'm sort of afraid of the ocean. Like when you go out in a ship,
Yeah.
if I was in the Marines, I'd want to be on the land as quickly as I could get. I'm not an idea of sinking to the bottom of the ocean. And when they're testing this thing and he's in it and you hear the thing popping and pinging, they have it on video and audio. It is scary as all get out.
Speaking of that, you just reminded me, Emma, I have put in a purchase order for new chairs.
For here?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah. While the show was going on.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't take one more popping of a chair.
The squeaking.
Yeah.
So we did that the first time we had an internet, and it hasn't been doing.
I know. That's what
I don't know if
It's
it got.
when you rock.
it
I
got
literally
rolled
put
around.
a purchase order in the middle of the show.
Yeah, that was rude.
Did you see some of the comments on your new post that I posted earlier?
You're going to have to be more specific because I did see some.
What did you-
LOL, these two never watched the NBA.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is the woke in the room with us right now?
Yeah.
I've watched more NBA than that guy has in his
Yeah.
entire life.
Air control. So anyway, on to sports.
It's time for sports.
All right, SVG wins in Chicago. Not a
Just
not a
amazing
surprise,
performance.
but the way he did it was even more impressive.
Saturday and Sunday, he won both
Yeah.
races.
Yeah, he's just the only way to describe it is smooth. Like all the rest of them, like even when I don't know if you watched Saturday's race, but he had to move his teammate to win.
So
Connor Zilic, which don't even start. That kid's 18.
yeah.
Like he's going to be, and I loved his interview after. It was raw.
Oh really?
It was, I guess I need to learn how to get my elbows. Like he understood. I wasn't expecting him to move me.
Yeah.
But he also admitted that he made a mistake. He didn't get in front of him when he could have. But, it's one of those things where even when he does that, he's so smooth at it that it wasn't this blatant get out of the way. It was just enough to get him off of his axis, and he ends up scraping the wall, and that's how he ended up winning.
So when they switched from Prime to now TNT,
Yeah,
I'm always hoping that it's not Jeff Burton and not Letard.
correct.
Okay, so now it's not Jeff Burton, which is
Correct.
great. He's on a different channel, and I'm so glad him and Larry Mack can do
Yep.
what they do. But Letard just annoys me so much I can't stand to listen to him. So they are simulcasting these races
Yes,
on
Max.
HBO, the Max,
Yes.
the Max channel.
And I still can't get it, but go ahead.
Okay, so I go on Max and I get the channels, and they let you pick. I mean, of all 99 drivers, or the number 1 to 99, you pick whichever driver you want. You can go back and watch the race. You can watch it midway. You can, if an accident happens, you can rewind and go back to see what happened, and you get to hear the in-car voice.
Yes.
You don't hear any radio broadcast.
Right.
That was the best way for me to watch that race, because I stayed with SVG almost the entire time, just watching him get so close to those corners and just You said smooth. It was just smooth.
Yeah. He's just smooth. Is all it is to it. And what's crazy is we grew up our whole life watching road course racing in NASCAR, and it was sort of, they have to do it twice a year. So it's interesting to see who is at the top.
Yeah.
Like the others tried to get better, but they never really got good at it, right? Yeah. But you always had these ringers. Remember those? Mm-hmm. But can you name a ringer ever winning a race that you and I watched growing up? Like it was still always Earnhardt or...
Well, the guy from Australia.
Okay, later on, Ambrose.
Yes, Ambrose, yeah.
Later on.
Yeah.
But not...
Oh, way back in the day.
Not Ricky Rudd and those guys. Like those were the guys who won and everybody else sucked at it.
Yeah.
And even when they had a ringer, Borsed, they never won.
Yeah.
This guy comes here...
As a rookie wins his first race.
And if you call him a ringer...
Yeah.
Like, damn, he's that much better than everybody else.
I saw Denny Hamlin talk about that. He thought that his success is even better than the older days because the cars are so much equaler now. It's really driver talent.
So I'm curious because on the last restart, you weren't listening to the broadcast. Steve Letarte, they literally played the in-car radio of Gibbs.
I didn't check him.
It was in second.
I did about 8 or 10 different drivers I watched.
So his crew chief is giving him SVG's data of how he gets into the turn, where he's different than him. He's giving him all of that data. And, dude, it didn't have to be said. You could hear Steve Letarte go into this whole spiel of, this is great information, blah, blah, blah. He never said a word. But I guarantee you, if they had just asked, what do you think of that, Dale? You know what he'd have said? I'd have told him to shut the F up.
Yeah.
Let me drive.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was quiet.
Yeah.
He never said, okay, I'll do that.
You know what you do? You do that on Monday when you're trying to review how you could have done better, which is what Formula One does.
Right.
They compare the two.
Yes.
And then you train all the way before you go back to Chicago.
He's not listening to that data with 2 laps to go.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out how am I going to beat SVG, and you're telling him, hey, you need to let off about 100 yards before. Shut up.
Yeah. So a really cool feature of that, I didn't think about it to the next day. I just saw the accident because I wasn't really watching the race, and they threw out the caution flag. So that guy Cody Ware,
I saw that.
Did you see the video from the fans' perspective where he went by?
Yes.
I mean, he went from left to right on the screen like that, and he just crashes into the tires. Yeah. So the next day, I went back and I watched his in-car camera. They put the telemetry up, so you get to see him. He's going 121 miles an hour when either a tire blows or something pops on the right side, and he realizes he's going to go head first into the tires. Yeah. So he starts scraping the wall, I think, to slow himself down.
That's right, yeah.
I went and rewound it in slow motion. When he hit the tires, he was at 92 miles an hour.
Wow.
To 0. I thought this guy's dead.
I thought the same thing. So what's crazy is, did you hear the in-car cam where you hear his spotter?
First of all, the spotter goes, we're in the tires.
Listen, I learned a little bit that I didn't know.
Yeah.
They can't see the turn.
I know, but
they were going off Amazon or TNT, and they hadn't shown the actual wreck. They just showed him in the tires.
Yeah.
And so that's why he made that comment.
Well, I know that he said it though, and then Cody Ware, you can just hear him go, I need help.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, this dude.
Yeah.
And he got himself out of the car and walked behind the car.
Crazy. That had to hurt.
Did they ever say if he's okay? I guess he's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any different yet.
I just cannot believe, and I saw it was on the Dale Earnhardt special that they did. Not one single driver has died since Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Isn't that amazing? That Hans device that came because of him.
It just changed. Yeah,
there's no way that wreck that this guy just did.
Yeah,
it reminded me of the one. Did you ever see the famous one that Jimmy
Johnson skipping across?
That might have been Sonoma or Watkins
I think
Glen.
so. And he just
kept going into the thing. And I think he says to this day, that's his hardest hit that he's ever had.
Wow.
But this was on the street. He never had grass or anything slowing him down.
Well, they'll be in Sonoma this week, and we'll have our picks coming up a little later on.
Is Kevin calling?
Don't know. Don't care. I mean, I don't say that. But he said he didn't know.
I don't mind Sonoma.
We'll see.
I still like it because it's the historic one.
Yeah,
Sonoma and Watkins Glen. I keep those two.
Yeah.
But the other ones, I mean, they need to reduce the number of road courses.
Oh, it's crazy.
Not increase.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I agree. 100%. One thing I do want to check out that I haven't seen yet, Dale Jr. download, he has interviewed Carson Hocevar in this past week.
Oh, wow.
So I actually want to go see that because I think Carson is NASCAR's future.
Yeah.
If they don't ruin him the way they kind of have ruined Chastain.
The in-car of Austin Dillon after that wreck that Hocevar started.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon is a punk.
How about Junior this week suggesting
Austin needs to get out?
That listen, you need to have an exit strategy if your plan is to take over RCR one day.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing what you're doing and then just flip a switch and become an owner.
I never realized Austin Dillon's dad is the one that runs everything.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Apple don't fall too far from the tree. Not a lot of winning going on over there. All right.
Yep. F1?
If you.
You just got me.
F1 was in Silverstone this week.
Yeah.
Silverstone. McLaren was the class of the field.
Yeah.
Although I'm telling you, dude, if you ever watch qualifying, it's fascinating to see Max still beat them in qualifying.
Yeah.
He gets everything. Like they interviewed Zach Brown, and he's talking Ferrari and Mercedes, and these are going to be the ones battling. And if we hit our marks, we should be okay.
Yeah.
Never mentioned Max because Max was like sixth.
Yeah.
Coming out of Q2, right?
Yeah. They got that. He got that rivalry though. He doesn't want to give him any.
No, but he lays down the lap.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, whoa, where did that come from? And again, he wins pole, but then he just doesn't have a car. And of course, the shocking news that came this morning.
Huge.
Was that shocking to you?
Shocking.
Dude, I woke up to it and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So Christian Horner is out.
Yeah.
He is the only CEO that Red Bull's ever had.
Yeah.
He has had it from its inception. And when I sent you that stat today, I was blown away. Out of that many races, that dude has won 30% of the races ever started.
I did hear this weekend, it made me go, oh, you don't really hear Verstappen say that. He was yelling about how slow they are, right? So he's been used to being in the front, but he's saying how slow he is. And that second car and not being able to get the right driver or whatever they're doing with their second car, I guess whoever the Red Bull powers that be were just tired of it.
Yeah, but surely he's had some down years in those 20 years.
Yeah.
And I guess just the whole thing.
There's got to be more to it. Even Verstappen's dad, it has to be a part of the mix.
Oh, yes. I thought that too, but then again, like Logan mentioned to me, he goes, watch it be Connor Zilic and Max Verstappen driving the Cadillac next year. Mm-hmm. I was like, ooh, God, that would be good.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Do you think, so isn't Cadillac, is that Andretti's team?
Yes.
So it's not likely someone is going to let a Richard Horner come in that's starting a team because that's something Andretti would want to run.
I don't know.
You know
I can't see him being a team manager.
How about Haas? Turning it all around.
Yeah.
Oh, your guy, Nico Hulkenberg.
Oh, incredible. And him and Max are close. That was awesome to see them high-fiving and stuff. I didn't realize.
Isn't it wild, that guy, how many years of racing did he do without ever being on a podium?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I thought he was a former champion. I don't know why.
And then the guy we hated so much at Ferrari goes to this team because they're so bad. In the this is his first race.
Yeah.
They end up third.
And they make a strategy decision to win.
Yeah.
Or to be in third.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that was wild. Did you also have the thought, I can't wait to watch Driven this year?
Yes.
For Netflix?
Yeah, I'd like to see what happened with Christian. So I mentioned, and I didn't know this, to be honest with you. I said, he doesn't need to go anywhere, probably retire. And then somebody said, dude, he's 51. I had no idea he was that young.
Wow.
Yeah, he's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
That's amazing. Although I don't think Cadillac, somebody else said there's another, Honda wants to get back in or something.
Oh, really?
So, I don't know, or Toyota, it's some, I can't remember. But anyway, F1 was good. They're off this week. So,
yeah.
Anyway, Wimbledon, we talked about a little earlier. So, Do you have anything else in sports?
It's kind of a down time.
Yep, Nats fired their manager and general manager. Rizzo's gone.
Yeah, at some point, I mean, he was very good at what he did, and he won. But at some point, you got to make it. You got to make a fresh.
Well, that's a good question. Is Rizzo original?
They've been around forever, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting. So we'll see what happens with that franchise now that Rizzo's gone.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. What's happening?
It's time for news. All right.
Yeah.
It's getting a little more play, although this is what I don't understand. So the guy who ran in the Democrat primary who beat Cuomo, right?
Yeah. Which I need to give you props on that. When you first played that, I was like, oh, come on, Cuomo's going to win.
Dude.
These polls.
And then to
you
find
were
out
right.
he got the most votes of any Democrat candidate like in the history.
Yeah.
Which is even worse. Like, here's what I don't understand. Was this purposely done by Adams and some of those to not talk about him? And then he ends up getting the nomination so that they can beat him in the general election? Because all this bad pub has come out after the fact.
Yeah.
And dude, some of the stuff he's done is downright scary.
Yeah.
The stuff he's suggesting, you go, who voted for this?
Man,
There's no way.
the people that want free shit. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
But Manhattan has got to be filled with the wealthy.
Well, first off, look at the structure of what they've been doing. They're primed for this. They ran off the tax base. I mean, you run it off. And now they're down to they want free shit.
So, Emma, this guy's talked about basically running the grocery industry if he's elected. So, New York, Manhattan.
Oh, yeah, I heard you.
All right. So, this is a bodega owner,
Yeah.
which now provides groceries to the communities. Mm-hmm. So, this is his response to this on Elizabeth Varga Reports, Cut 1.
Why would one grocery store in each borough put bodegas out of business?
Cancer starts with a small cell in your body. And if you don't extract it, it spreads. You start with one idea like this, a foolish idea, it may spread. And we don't want it to get to that. If he decides that one store worked, maybe 2 stores would work, maybe 100 stores will work. And if you let him spread his ignorance, because this is being ignorant, really, then we have a huge problem.
Why is it ignorant?
It's ignorant because most bodega owners are immigrants. They come from very poor countries, and they come here to try to make a living and do the right thing by the city. A bodega is not just where you sell food. They're also community centers. So if you're able to infiltrate government into the private sector, you're basically ruining the dreams and the spirits of all these small business people who have risked everything they have, borrowed everything they could borrow to open their small business. It doesn't make sense because not only will it hurt the people he claims he's trying to help, he's going to drive a lot of these businesses out of business, or he's going to scare people. It's like people are scared of ICE. It's like people are scared of people like Mandami that will come in and start opening up businesses and giving food away and competing with those that have invested their money into their small business.
Wow.
So these guys come from countries that's where they've done this.
Yeah.
Right? They see what happens when you have a communist grocery store.
Right.
When you don't have any competition, they get to control the prices.
And this guy's hatred for Jews, he doesn't hide it. He literally says if Netanyahu was to come into New York, he would have him arrested.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the joke that you've got that you're probably going to elect.
And as New York goes, other cities are going to end up campaigning and trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just awful
Yeah.
to think we've gotten to that point, man.
The blue cities are not recuperating. They're not recovering. They're going the wrong direction.
Yes, and they used to be
Vibrant.
They were the heartbeat of America. Like, you know what I mean? It was cool. You're like, let's go to New York. Let's go to Chicago. No way.
So in the most horrible interview I've seen in a while, Tucker is interviewing Ted Cruz. But Tucker it was a horrible interview. It was just them yelling at each other. But Tucker makes a great, great point. Stop bombing other countries.
Yeah.
And go to Moscow and see how clean that city is.
Yeah.
And care about our cities. And we have let our cities go because we have said, the Dems control those. We're just going to let them run it. And they're running them in the ground, and they're scary. Would you walk downtown Baltimore?
No.
Right.
No.
I mean, what have we done?
No, but and so I guess I try to always go, all right, so what's the answer? And then I think, well, damn it, Rudy Giuliani changed New York.
Right.
It was nasty. It was awful.
Yeah.
And he did change it.
Yeah.
For the better.
So they're not doing it the way Rudy did. They're going the opposite direction.
I know.
So it's gonna be sad.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to the big, beautiful bill pass.
Yep.
I would love for us to start giving more credit to Mike Johnson. And I know I've said that twice, but you still have to legislate.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude, literally, I remember Democrats in host basically saying this dude has no chance of getting bills passed because of his slim majority.
Mm-hmm.
If he's this effective with this slim majority, how would he do if we actually added a seat or two coming? I mean, in his, second half of Trump's term.
Yeah.
So anyway, the big, beautiful bill did pass.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the response that I found from a TikTok of a gentleman, because the Dems have told us what? They've cut Medicare, they've cut Medicaid, Social Security's ending, the whole nine, right?
Yeah.
And this was an older gentleman who made this TikTok clip. Cut to.
I'm still getting my Social Security check. Oh, I'm still getting my Social Security check. Oh, I'm still getting my Social Security check. My Medicaid ain't been canceled yet. I'm still getting my Social Security check.
In all honesty, our whole lives, every election they have said Republicans are getting rid of Medicare and cutting benefits, and lives are being lost. Have you ever met one person that said, I used to get Medicare, man, and after they voted on that bill, I don't get it anymore?
Well, so it's funny you say that. So I have this comment that I send to myself, and I know Emma thinks that I've sent all the videos I could. There's double what I can. And one of them I make is, this is why they wanted to shut down TikTok. That right there is why they wanted to shut down TikTok.
Sure.
That's a black man that had Make America Great Again hat on. And he's singing that he still has his Social Security check because he knows the news would never have said that.
Yeah.
What do they say? What do they always say? Elizabeth Warren.
Yep.
All right. The news would have found someone that didn't get their check.
Right.
And they would have made that the statement.
Sure.
Because they controlled the narrative. Now they don't.
Well,
yeah.
It's like the Texas flood. You're exactly right. A horrible event happens.
Yeah, my God.
Horrible.
I can't even watch the news, man. When I see the little girls,
I turn it off.
I can't see it.
And listen, they're at a Christian camp. Most of the, that's what.
Yeah.
But a flood happened.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
A flood happened.
Yeah.
And here's what angers me more than anything. Camille happened here.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. All right. Who's blame? Why are you want to blame, oh my God, the Doge cuts?
Yeah.
Caused this.
Yeah.
Because in turn, that's a lie. It's an absolute lie.
Yeah.
Why does every single time that there's a tragedy, we have to blame something?
You know how I know it was a lie? Because there was no one from the Weather Service that said, hey, I used to do that job and I'm not. They just say it.
Yeah.
And that's why, if they could find someone that said, I would have been there at 2 a.m. that morning, but I wasn't there.
Yeah.
What they don't tell you is they were doing warnings, but man, it was 2 a.m.
Yeah.
It was 4 a.m. That river rose 30 feet in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that's what happened when Camille came through. That was a nighttime. People were sleeping, and the river and the mountains were just melting away.
Right.
Those nighttime ones are just
stop
so
looking
scary.
at the government to fix everything. You can't.
Yeah.
There's a thing called act of God.
Yeah.
Sometimes, that's just real.
The only thing I want to say about that, what you just said, and I'm so glad you did, is I pray it was an act of God.
Right.
Because I saw that guy on Sean Ryan talk about the weather seeding that we're doing.
Yeah.
And I've seen enough TikToks here in the last week that there is somebody that said that they did weather seeding. If they did that and that caused it, because that's one of the remember Saudi Arabia had that last year? It was a flood that just wiped out that whole city. They attributed it to weather seeding.
Okay.
If that happened, that would bother me so much.
Yeah.
That's something I really hope we make illegal. You can't play with God. You can't try to change the weather.
Did you see 160 people are still missing?
Yeah. Oh my God,
it's crazy.
So that'll put it up around 200 people, 250.
It's
over 119 people have died so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you get 30 feet of water, coming that quickly,
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
There's a really good interview with the guy on Sean Ryan that talks about seeding clouds and how it works, and it's really, really interesting, and how it can actually get out of control too. So there's a lot of factors before you can even try to do it, that you shouldn't do it without the right variables. But no, that's a really, you should find that interview that Sean Ryan did.
Did you
really
see
fascinating.
The officer that saved like 200 girls
Yes.
at that camp?
Yeah.
Young guy.
Yeah, it's like his first rescue mission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, you got anything?
I'm going to have at it at some point.
Okay. On to win-win-win.
We're going to win-win-win, and we're going to make America great again.
You see those words up there, that motto, it says, "In God we trust," right above the speaker's rostrum. A previous Congress put that there in the early 60s in the height of the Cold War. There's a little visitor's guide that people get when you do tours late at night. You've probably seen your constituents and visitors and friends get the guide. If you turn, I think it's about to page 21. It explains why that's there. And it says, Congress voted to put that there as a rebuke to the Soviets' worldview at the height of the Cold War. Why? Because communism, socialism, find their root in Marxism. And Marxism begins with the belief that there is no God. It's wrong. And this Congress made us stand those many years ago, and we should do it again. We're different, we're distinct, we're exceptional, because we acknowledge that right there, our motto. It doesn't say in government we trust. It says in God we trust. And we better remember that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really good. Hey, did you notice? So that was the speech that he gave when they won, right?
Yes.
When they got the big, beautiful bill done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know they don't do stuff by mistake. Right behind his right shoulder was John McGuire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was a signal. That was a signal to the people like Bob Good,
sure, to
Tom Massey.
Yeah.
And John McGuire sitting there, you're not. You need to get on board. I mean, I swear that's why, of all people, they put John McGuire behind him there. That's interesting.
There was a lot of little things. First of all, if you're a Democrat, in all honesty, it's shameful that you literally, you're sitting there praising a guy that spoke for 12 hours or whatever, how long it was.
That's so dumb.
It's so dumb. And please tell me you saw what Mike Johnson did when he got up to give that speech.
Brought the big binder out.
Yeah, like he was going to talk for 12 hours.
Did we lose the monitor? Hey, Emma, I think we lost the monitor here.
Oh my gosh.
But she fell asleep in her screen.
No, you guys are breaking things.
I haven't touched anything.
It's fine over here.
All right, Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Oh, by the way, that's been catching on, even locally. We have people doing their own Mount Rushmore.
Well, listen.
Hey,
imitation is
flattery.
Yes. So,
thank you, Emma.
Today's Mount Rushmore is single season performances.
These are athletes, right?
Yep. single season performances.
Yep. So who you got?
So I'm starting with Tiger Woods in the
Yeah.
year 2000 when he just obliterated the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Cam Newton when he wielded Auburn to a title.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Greg Maddux in 1995 when he just was phenomenal. He went 19-2 with a 1.63 ERA.
Wow. I was thinking about pitchers too, who was also dominant. There was that time with Randy Johnson where he just mowed people down, you know?
Yeah.
And he's another good one that you could have
You just made me think
looked up.
and I'll go back to it. Anyway, Kurt Warner.
He had a hell of a season.
That one year that he took the Rams, the greatest show on turf.
Yeah, that was so much fun to watch.
Yeah. And then Joe Burrow when he was at LSU and had that phenomenal season.
I had not thought of him, but I wish I had put him on my list because that was a phenomenal season. Great team, but man, a phenomenal season.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to go, look, you had Jamar Chase and but they weren't what they are. I mean,
well, you didn't know.
Correct.
But how about didn't my guy with the Redskins, Daniels, didn't he break the records that Joe Burrow had in that season?
Yeah.
His senior year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or his last year. For mine, I did the same thing. So I just close my eyes and start thinking of people. And what I love is how we have listeners message us that who we missed on something, which is true. I mean, it's not like I do much research here. But Tiger, I can remember, just like you did, it was almost like watching SVG in racing. Right. Tiger on Sunday was just fun to watch him dominate.
Yep.
I mean, pulling away from people was just incredible. You won't remember this because you probably weren't old enough, but 1984, Michael Jordan, he had a year where he won the national title. He won the gold medal, and he was the rookie of the year in the NBA.
Good Lord.
Oh, man, what a heck of a year that was. Man, I was trying to think of football players, and I remember Peyton Manning, and I can't remember if it was with the Colts or with Denver or maybe both, that he had all those touchdowns. And
I think it was the Colts.
Yeah. Oh, man.
The Denver, remember, he couldn't really throw.
That's true.
He had gotten
had that neck problem. You're right. So it was.
Yeah, it was definitely with the Colts. He was he was throwing touchdowns like crazy.
So I was thinking in baseball, the two on my Mount Rushmore would be double-headed, would be Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa.
Yeah.
That season that they had.
Yeah.
But then the next year, Barry Bonds goes and breaks it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You almost have to.
So what
keep
year
all
was
three.
that, you reckon?
Wrecked him. Damn near killed him. I don't know, 2004-ish? Was it 20 years ago?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Oh, my gosh.
You really don't know?
I was like 2.
So my fifth head would be Wayne Gretzky, back when he was the dominant force. I just remember, I was really young at that time, but I remember being on the news every night, how dominant he was.
That was 1998.
98.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
I missed
was
about 5 years.
-4.
Look, but that listen, your evening news would lead with them, too.
Yeah.
Who hit a home run, because they were neck and neck going for
Roger Maris's record.
Yeah.
No one had
was
hit 61 since 61.
Yeah.
And then if I had to have a woman, because Emma says we have to have a woman.
No, I didn't.
Do we have to have a woman on every Mount Rushmore, or you just say
No,
we never
I just
pick a
said
woman?
you didn't have any this week. That's what I said. That's all I said. And
So
you're like,
I was trying to think of the best woman domination season, and Serena, I guess, in tennis.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of another one.
All right, so give us yours, Emma, all your women.
I got 2 women.
Okay.
Breonna Stewart. She won 4 national championships.
Who was that?
She plays for Liberty.
Yeah,
She's in the WNBA.
she
She,
was
went to UConn. She won 4 national championships.
But that would be 4 seasons. This is
Yeah, you
one
can
dominant
just count
season.
one. Just
But
count one.
you are correct. Her year,
If she walked in here, I wouldn't know who she is.
Oh, really? She's pretty good.
Pretty.
I would say good.
I said pretty good.
She's also won
Yeah, she was the MVP.
no, she's also won WNBA finals a couple times.
Yeah, okay. She just pulled her up on screen. She looks familiar. Kind of horse facious.
She's won it 3 times. WNBA.
All right, next.
Very sexist.
She don't follow the rules.
How's that sexist? I can
Matthew
see.
Stafford, his first year at the Rams.
Ooh, Matthew
great
Stafford
season.
is a good one. That's
who had
pretty good.
He had
Yes.
almost 5,000 yards.
Wow.
I did Freddie Freeman last year at the World Series.
Yeah, another good one.
Who?
See,
Freddie
The
Freeman.
first baseman for the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
When he came to the Dodgers his first year.
Yeah.
I did Nick Foles. That
With the Eagles.
when he won the Super Bowl. Then I did Caitlin Clark.
But wasn't he the replacement? Wasn't he the replacement for?
for Carson Wentz?
No, wait a minute.
Yes, for Carson
Kurt
Wentz.
Warner was the replacement for Trent.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Okay.
Whatever that guy was.
I don't.
And then
Still a hell of a year.
All right.
my last one was Caitlin Clark, her first WNBA season.
Dude, it's so noticeable because I don't know if you've noticed, but she's been in and out of the lineup this year.
Yeah, she's come back tonight.
When she's not back, nobody watches. But when she's back,
Did she win a natty?
no.
No,
She lost to LSU.
twice,
Right.
or she
Okay.
lost twice in the finals.
Okay.
Can I do an honorable mention?
Sure. It's Trump's head.
Oh, you'll know this one, Trent. Ben Joyce, the pitcher for Tennessee that pitched
Oh,
like 105
yeah, the blonde dude.
that entire season.
What's he doing now? Do you know?
He plays for the Cardinal. He plays.
Is he in the major leagues?
Yes.
Oh,
Nice.
he is?
Yeah, he plays. Yeah, Arizona or Angels. Sorry, not Arizona.
You literally picked 3 different teams.
Yeah,
I can't believe you at all.
Sorry, he plays for the Angels.
So before we move off of Mount Rushmore, I got a question.
Are you hating on my list?
Do you know? No. Do you know what Bobby Bonilla Day is?
I don't
Yes.
know who that is.
All right. Trent knows.
It's an awesome story.
That Bobby Bonilla was a Met, and they gave him this ungodly contract, right? Amount of money, but they spaced it out over a 25-year period.
Oh, yes, I know who you're talking about.
And so every year he still gets money.
Every July 1st, he
Yes,
gets $1 million.
Right. Well, Trent, I watched a video the other night that blew my mind. There's more to that story than meets the eye.
Okay.
Why did they give him that contract?
To defer payment?
It wasn't to defer payment. It was literally to take the money that they would have been given him up front and to invest it so that they would be making money. And so they were going to make money off of Bobby Bonilla's
So they're
contract.
happy to pay him $1 million.
Do you know who they invested the money in?
No.
Bernie Madoff.
You're kidding.
No.
Wow.
So not only are they still paying, they lost everything that they invested. So
That's
it
awful.
blew my mind when I was watching this. I was like, oh my God. So they screwed up so bad. They took the money that they would have been paying him up front and invested it in somebody who stole from them. And yet they're still paying Bobby Bonilla today.
That's wild. Sorry, I was looking up my liberal tears, which you called it dumb things I read, but I thought we were calling it liberal tears.
Okay. Anyway, moving on to dumb things I read.
Oh, next week, Emma, to give you a head start so you can do your homework, but because we have Travis coming, we are going to do Alabama football players, Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Glad I'm missing.
Whoop.
Dumb things I read this week.
Yeah.
Literally, I read something that Doge cuts cost lives. Texas flood, which we talked about a little earlier.
Yeah.
And that the big, beautiful bill will cost thousands of lives due to Medicare and SNAP benefit costs.
Yeah.
Thousands of lives.
Yeah. I think they should just be lining up, showing you the dead people.
It's unconscionable, some of the stuff they say.
Here's the one that I got. I can always go to this guy and look up one. So that's what I was doing when you said it. It is Tom Tillis standing there, and it says, "What do I tell 663,000 people when President Trump breaks his promise by pushing them off of Medicaid?"
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Listen, I did see where
What promise did he make?
The Supreme Court voted 8-1.
Wow, we finally got the 2 of the 3.
Yeah, and what's crazy is Jackson was the only one that voted against it. And it basically says that he can claw back the Doge money, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
So this is what the judge said. Of course, they can't just rule. They have to say, I think it's, ridiculous that he's taking money away that could help save lives.
Yeah.
But It's not for me to say he can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not unconstitutional. So they can take the money back that's been wasted over these years. And here's what I don't understand. When a Supreme Court makes a decision that says these judges can't just, willy-nilly stop, why is it the next thing I read the next day, this judge stops them from, deporting people?
I know.
Like, what changed?
Right. That Ketanji Brown, how dangerous she is and dumb she is.
Yeah.
I mean, she's really getting a reputation now, worse and worse. But she just mentioned something the other day that her opinion is not required to be based in law. Her opinion is what her opinion of the country should be. And that's what people care about.
Jesus.
Like, how did you get where you got?
Well, you know how.
Well,
and what we should put is all the Republicans that voted yay in her favor.
I know. It's so ridiculous.
Democrats don't vote for anything anymore.
What was her vote, I wonder, to get it approved? Oh, this error and omission, Dave Baxter told us that we forgot to mention Mama Jeannie. And I had it in my notes here. I forgot to mention it. The guy that's trying to make the grocery stores.
Oh, yeah.
He's also doing the same thing for housing now. So the government will take over buildings, condos, hotels, make room rentals, and then make it all the same price. Yep. It's going to get scary in the big cities.
Yeah. You wonder what'll be left of them.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
I just got 3 things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine.
Oh, man. I just thought of this. Last night, Marty and I happened to catch half of Kevin James's, what was the show? King of Queens?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if I watch it. I haven't watched it in years and years, but man, that dude makes me actually laugh out loud. He had a doll baby in his hands. He was delivering packages to a new house, and the guy kept making him come in the house, and he was a doll baby repair guy. And that's what he did for a living. And he's looking at this doll baby, and I can't remember what scared him, but I thought the head was going to fall off the doll baby. But he takes it and he chucks it across the entire room. And man, I'm telling you, that guy, man, that show just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So anyway,
without Arthur though, it would have never been quite as funny.
Arthur is so funny, man.
He's the best.
It's hard to believe that guy could be that good. It's on 2 different shows around the same time.
Yeah,
he was on Seinfeld and King of Queens.
He's great.
He was great. All right, so let's get into the dumbasses. This was just 1 year ago, cut 15.
And we give thanks to our Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, the extraordinary President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Ho, ho, ho.
That was July 4th
Happy Independence Day.
Maybe that's why his doctor pleaded the 5th today.
Good point. All right, man. You will agree with 4 out of 5 of these, I'm quite sure. But this is, speaking of Mount Rushmore, this is what I thought was great. This is Kamala's top 5. So listen to this, cut 16.
The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea.
North Korea.
And it is an alliance that is strong and enduring.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And
Today we got 32 days until the election.
Okay, the teleprompter goes away. Remember this? The teleprompter stopped working. So she's trying to signal to them it needs to work.
So 32 days.
She's trying to tell them where it ends.
32 days. Okay, we got some business to do. All right. 32 days. And we know we will do it.
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So Basically, that's wrong.
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Jesus. She almost became president.
I know.
Like, that's how so scary that our country is that stupid.
I got another one of her of another great holiday. I'm telling you, man, how close were we?
Yeah, but, I saw somebody the other day talked about they tried to get The View to rework it to get her back on because of the mistake that she made.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there, that's not the one mistake.
Dude, that was
her
5.
whole career.
That's 5 we could pick up easy.
We've been to the border.
Okay, so I think this is going to change your mind on immigration. I apologize for a little bit of cussing, but it's TikTok cut 20.
Come on my page and say that people should be in this country legally. Don't fucking do it. This is ridiculous. It's inhumane. You are a human being, and don't you dare use Jesus' name or God's name in this and say that this is what he would want and pretend to be a Christian, because you're not. This is pure evil. You are scum of the earth. These are people. These are mothers. These are fathers. These are human beings. And all you care about is where they are geographically. Shame on you. Do better. Be better. Don't.
First of all,
I changed my mind now.
Listen, I don't understand why logical people can't have the conversation of, listen.
And say that people should
Look how
be.
angry she is. Looks like Emma when we talk about the Mount Rushmore and
She looks like a Whoville.
left off a woman.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, my.
You're a conservative, right?
I think so.
Yes or no?
She cut my mic off. I love that girl. She's so funny.
Are you sitting there telling me that you don't want any immigrants anymore in our country?
Of course I do.
Okay, you just want them to be here legally.
And participate in the country the way it should be.
Correct. If you're coming here to work hard,
nobody's
running you out.
No.
Like, that's the thing that they always keep leaving out is...
Dude, I had an employee that was one of my subordinates, if you will, that I was just department head, and he was one of the guys. But he was a DACA guy. So he had to go and verify who he was, and he did it the right way. He's not a citizen yet, and he's lived here since he was in high school.
Right.
Got his degree.
Yes.
Works as an engineer, and just hopes that he can become a citizen one day, which is beautiful.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But we can have the conversation of how do we make the process better so that they're not spending 30 years before they finally become a citizen.
Yeah.
We can fix that process, but that takes two parties sitting down and actually legislating something.
Yeah.
And that's the part we can never happen.
Dude, I think I saw...
We can never happen.
What was it? Was it a $5 million? It was you can become a citizen if you're willing to pay $5 million. Remember that's what Trump said?
Oh, yes.
70,000 people. 70,000 people have registered to be able to do that.
Correct.
Dude, this dude's making money hand over fist for us.
Unbelievable.
Here is the problem with the Dems. You mentioned this earlier about the Democrats and where they're going and the socialism and all that. This is what's wrong with them, and this is why they can't be fixed. I don't know how they're going to fix themselves without leadership. Listen, cut 26.
Erica, my friend, happy 4th of July. And today on our Independence Day, I'm looking into whether or not Americans feel proud to be an American. And as it turns out, Democrats, their percentage who say they're proud to be an American has fallen through the floor. What are we talking about? Take a look here. Democrats' pride to be an American, extremely or very proud. In 2015, look at this. 4 out of 5 Democrats were extremely or very proud to be an American. That number has plummeted to just 36% now in 2025. A low this century has fallen by more than half since 2015 as Donald Trump has become, of course, president once again this year. Now, what is driving that decline? Well, a lot of it has to do with age. What are we talking about? Well, Generation Z Democrats, proud to be an American or not. Of course, Generation Z, born since 1997. Look at this. Only 24% of Generation Z Democrats are extremely or very proud to be an American. That is actually lower, Erica. That is lower than the percentage who say they have little or no pride to be an American at 32%. I just never thought I'd see these numbers based upon where we were a decade ago, but that's exactly where we are. Now, if Democrats have extremely less pride to be an American than they used to, what about Republicans? Well, this is where the trend line gets interesting, because with Republicans, there is no trend line. In fact, take a look here. Republicans' pride to be an American, extremely or very proud. In 2015, it was 90% back when Barack Obama was serving his second term. Now in Donald Trump's second term, it's basically the same percentage, 92%. So Republicans still are extremely or very proud to be an American. Democrats, on the other hand, have seen their numbers fall through the floor, led, of course, by the youngest generation, Generation Z. We'll see how these numbers turn going forward, but the bottom line is whether or not the folks out there are extremely or very proud to be an American, I'm extremely or very proud to be with you, Erica Hill. Happy July 4th.
That's the problem.
Dude,
that is the problem with them right there. So when you first read it, your mind is thinking, okay, the poll is swayed because Trump is the president and people would not answer to be proud to be American. I'm glad he followed it up with Republicans in 2015.
Sure. Yeah.
Barack is at his end.
Yeah.
Right? And we didn't know that we thought Hillary was going to win.
That's right.
I mean, literally everybody thought Hillary was going to beat Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at 90%, man. The president gets elected and it's another guy. We still think that's part of the process.
Yeah.
They want to cheat or don't believe in the process, don't believe in the foundations of our country, aren't taught the foundations of our country.
But are out there screaming every day that we're a threat to democracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so sad.
Yeah. That just proves it right there. Here's our lady. Here's our commander-in-chief. She almost won. This is her talking about July 4th. On July 4th, this I know was last week, but let's listen to her talk about that holiday, Cut 30.
States has recognized the voyage of the European explorers who first landed on the shores of the Americas. But that is not the whole story. That has never been the whole story. Those explorers ushered in a wave of devastation for tribal nations, perpetrating violence, stealing land, and spreading disease. We must not shy away from this shameful past, and we must shed light on it and do everything we...
Obviously, that was Columbus. But still, it's that whole genre thinking our country was based on stealing. And that was their leader. You know?
It's just sort of...
Have you got time for a winning MAGA minute from someone we really like?
Yes, and then we'll get to our NASCAR picks.
Okay. All right. Cut 47.
This was one of the hottest weeks in our nation's history, and I'm not talking temperature. Let's break it all down in this week's MAGA Minute. The jobs numbers for the month of June are in, and the United States added 147,000 jobs, exceeding market expectations for the fourth month in a row. Our unemployment rate fell to 4.1%, again defying expectations. The price of eggs has rapidly declined under President Trump, inspiring Waffle House to announce that it has removed its egg surcharge from the menu. In a huge win for women who play sports, the Department of Education secured an agreement with the University of Pennsylvania to remove men from women's sports, and it corrects the record in favor of sanity. President Trump continues to deliver trade deals. He announced a trade deal with Vietnam, which will give the U.S. total access to their markets for the first time ever. The president also visited Alligator Alcatraz in Florida, reaffirming our commitment to law and order in our country. And he visited the great state of Iowa to kick off a series of celebrations across the country to celebrate next year's 250th birthday of the United States. And finally, Congress worked hard to deliver the one big beautiful bill to President Trump's desk. This bill means no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and a big beautiful tax cut for everyone. It's on the way. And for those of you celebrating our nation's birthday, the cost of a 4th of July cookout for 10 people skyrocketed by more than 20% under Joe Biden, but that cost has dropped under President Trump. This 4th of July, we are celebrating not only the birth of our great nation, but the birth of a golden age of economic prosperity for you and your family. And the best is yet to come. We'll see you for next week's MAGA Minute. Happy Independence Day.
Dude, how smart are they? What platform is that on? It's TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just they get the news out.
They do. They're very smart and
really,
and by
really
the way, truthful.
Yeah.
Like, remember we used to get, we're using everything in our toolbox.
Yeah.
To bring prices down.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they actually show you, hey, egg prices were $8.03. Now they're $2.20 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, that's massive.
Yeah. They could never understand the supply side. They sort of did when they needed it to come back down right before elections. They took it from our petroleum reserves, remember?
Yes.
Yep.
I am curious to see, because the markets really are still waiting on the interest rates to drop, which Jerome Powell's just being Jerome Powell.
That's just wild, I know.
So we'll see. All right, so moving on to our NASCAR picks.
Okay.
It is the Toyota Save Mart 350.
Okay. That's the lowest odds I've ever seen in a race.
Yeah, I won $15 friggin' by choosing Van Ginsbergen.
Right, but you bet 5.
Yes.
Yeah, you did the same thing I did, but you bet on 3 drivers, right?
Yeah, but I don't understand. Like, in our lifetime, I don't know that I've ever seen odds that much in his favor or any driver's favor.
It's even worse now.
I know.
And this week is even worse.
Well, I'm not picking him.
I know, because you feel bad, but honestly, you're just throwing away, for me, I'm throwing away $30.
That's fine.
Knowing that he could win anyway.
I'm going to take Michael McDowell.
Oh, yeah, man, I cannot believe he was doing so good last week, and he just...
Yeah. Pit strategy.
No, it was his throttle.
Oh, that's right.
He couldn't stop the car from going, which Cody Ware, I'd wondered if that happened to him too. Yeah. It's interesting. Okay.
So let's go there.
Write your picks. Sorry.
Chris Buescher.
Buescher.
And who is going to be my dark horse here? You know, God, Alex Bowman has gotten so much better on road courses.
He really has.
You know what? I'm going to go Zane Smith. Holy cow. If that dude was to pull this off, that is $1,250. Ooh, and I'll be in Vegas when this happens. I will take my winnings and spend it all in Vegas.
By the way, I'm really excited.
Move this chair over to our guest.
You're fine.
I'm really excited, by the way, that last week Catherine Legge raced, and I
stop.
What?
You can't say Catherine Legge.
What is she?
It's Catherine Legg. You can't put the E on
It's spelled L.
I know it is, but you can't, man. That's hilarious, Catherine Legge.
All right, Catherine Hot Legs.
Mimi.
She raced in that race, and she finished 20th on that road course. And what's cool is the people that I asked did not know she was even in the race. You know what I mean? Isn't that advancement?
No, I agree 100%. What's even better is she actually knocked a driver out. Like, she had to qualify. She just wasn't put in.
Oh, okay.
So Corey Haim did not make the race. She did.
Huh.
Which is impressive.
Yeah. I'm trying to find who my long shot would be that might just make it.
Did you pick Catherine Legg?
No. I don't,
oh, come on.
I don't think she's come far enough for me to know what her name is. So, you know what I'm going to do?
Catherine Legge.
I'm going to go Christopher
Belly.
I'm going to go Allmendinger.
Oh.
What?
This is not... can I give you a little advice?
Yeah.
I watched Junior, and they talked about Allmendinger. This is his worst road course out of all of them. He doesn't finish well.
Then I'm taking him. That's why. If you listen to those shows, Brian,
I know he's apparently a rhythm driver, and this is not a rhythm course.
Yeah. and I'm going to go, dude, how is his odds so low? I'm going Brad Keselowski.
Yeah. Yeah, those cars have gotten so much better for RFK. Inspire Motorsports is bringing a fast car every week.
Yeah, well, he's not Spire.
No. I said RFK has gotten better.
Yeah.
And Spire Motorsports brings a fast car every week. It's pretty impressive.
All right. So let me make my bets because I get mad when I forget who I picked.
Okay.
So I know how you are because I know what you're thinking. If $10 is only going to get me $14, then I'm not betting on it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even though he's that good of a odd. I mean, I will still enjoy if he wins.
Yeah, but we've had other road courses this year that he has not won, so he's not an automatic.
Well,
watch him win the pole and win all of it.
Let's see, Keselowski, he gets $10, gets me. Wait a minute, where'd he go? Maybe I misread that.
Oh my God!
No, I didn't. $10 gets me $1,000. That's crazy.
Who?
Keselowski.
Wow.
Although, dude, have you ever done this and you're betting on the season? FanDuel and
the Toyota. Make
awful.
sure it says Toyota. Save Mark
350.
Yeah.
Toyota. Yeah, I got it. So I got it right. All right, that's cool. End of show today. Are you ready for that, or you got other stuff?
No, I think I'm good. I
always like asking Emma what she thought of the interviews when we have these guys that come in. What'd you think of Mr. Meacham?
I liked him.
Yeah. Fascinating story.
Mm-hmm.
So we will not have American Stories next week.
Yeah, we won't have American Stories. We won't have you.
Those are reserved for me.
Yeah.
Who is our next in a couple of weeks? Do you have that off the top of your head?
I want to say it was a Witt, Gary Witt. I think that's who it was. I've got.
Hey, before you say that, or before you mention that, there's a local kid that went to Liberty High School. His name is Bryce Whitlow. He started a TikTok page, and it's called The Wall of. I forget what it's called now. Daggone it! But he basically does the people who aren't in the Hall of Fame, but are not quite, but
didn't make it.
Long-term careers and whatever. Well, I mean, he started just a YouTube page, right? And that's what he does. And so they have these inductions or whatever, where they induct these people in the Not So Hall of Fame. I think it might be what it's called.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was an Oriole the other day that got inducted. Is it Day? You're an Orioles fan. He was a big time.
I don't remember.
Anyway, I just thought it was neat that he was on a nationwide show where they were highlighting him, and then they piped that guy in as a surprise, and he had no idea. I mean, he's a local kid here, just doing, and his page is growing like crazy.
That's neat.
And it's anyway, it's neat because I got to see him. He played on Logan's baseball team, and he's just got an organic page that he started. And Major League Baseball players are now tagging, that they made it in this kid's Hall of Fame or not, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it means something to them, which I just think is neat.
They do that thing now where lifetime Hall of Famers, like the ones that didn't make the original vote, they can still make the Hall of Fame.
Gotcha.
So Gary Witt is who we're going to have on in 2 weeks if schedules work out, and he is a 2-time Purple Heart recipient from Vietnam.
2-time.
2-time. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So to end the show today, it's a quick clip, so you'll be happy, Emma. This is Charlie Kirk now talking about life, liberty, happiness. It's pretty cool. It takes a little bit to get there, but you'll hear it. It's really cool. Anyway, have a good week.
Anyway, have a good week. Emma, I'll bring you some sand back. Is it sandy out in Vegas? Have you been to Vegas?
Never.
I don't want sand.
What do you want?
Oh.
Showgirl?
A thong.
In Genesis 1:26 and 1:27, which is universal human equality, that I'm not better than Luke, and Luke is not better than me, that we are all the same in God's economy. From that, then you get natural rights, and you get what birthed Western civilization. Understand that if you visit a lot of the rest of the world, go and visit India right now, go and visit the tribes of Africa. They have caste systems and intergenerational ruling structures where not all people are created equal. They believe that there's some sort of hierarchy to existence. Well, I have more money than you, then I'm better than you. Only in America do we posit in our birth certificate, nope, yep, you might have more money, but that doesn't mean you have more rights. Yep, you might have a nicer car, but I'm same in God's economy, and both of us are gonna have to go in front of God the judge one day. And both of us are equally made. Do you understand the significance of that? And it was at no small cost. So then the king is reading this, he's getting angry and angrier. And this is where it gets so profound. That among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, you cannot have liberty and you cannot have happiness if you do not protect life. Let us be a state and a country again that values life at every possible stage, from the unborn to the born to the elderly.